I am your host, Carrie Scollin, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Foundher Series. I am excited to host a bunch of the new authors and some repeat authors that are a part of the book collaboration, the Lighthouse Project series. So this is our second volume, and it is called Beautiful Chaos, Embracing the Unexpected. And today I have the author, Emma Lewis. Thank you so much, Emma, for joining me. And we're going to dive a little bit into your story, what it's about, what the message is, and give the viewers a little bit more in depth after they've maybe have read your chapter. I want some more insight from you on where you were in the writing process and how it all came to be. So, Emma, thank you for being here, and let's dive in.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be in this project with you. So
You are so welcome. I am, when we first met, it was one of those, this girl's doing big things. That's how I felt about you. You've got so much lived experience that you are being courageous enough to share in the hopes of helping somebody else be seen and be heard and to know they're not alone. So your chapter, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it. You can reveal the name of your chapter. And then I've got some highlights and some points that I wanted to touch on. And we won't maybe give it all away, but I would like to get into it a little bit deeper with you. So go ahead, share your chapter title, and then I've got some questions to ask you.
Okay. My chapter title is Believe in Your Wildest Dreams. Part of this book series, and it's honestly a chapter about the journey of the evolution of my own life and my own experience. So I'm honored to share it with the world and all the women that were in this book collaboration as well. I really want it to just help at least one person, if not many others, of changing your circumstance of where you came from and believing in yourself fully to complete or achieve your wildest dreams that you ever thought you could.
Yeah, I love it so much because you talk about your past circumstances don't have to define who you are. And a lot of times we can stay stuck in that. I would call it a victim mode. And
stuck in the story over and over.
In the story. And I say that only because I experienced it. So I was stuck in my own story, and I felt like I was a victim, even though I didn't resonate with that term because I didn't think I was doing that. But I realized for a long time that me thinking I wasn't enough was a victim. I just didn't recognize it. So you kind of shine a light on that in your chapters. Like, look, these are some of the things that happened. I was raised in a dysfunctional family. But the other thing that I loved about what you wrote about and how you wrote it, because I thought your writing was beautiful, in the way that you really, there wasn't blame. There wasn't, throwing it on somebody else. You took responsibility for what it was. You were aware of it. And you really, to me, showed that your parents did the best they could with what they had. And it was, for you, it was kind of understanding where you were in this process of, okay, I am the way I am because of what happened, and what am I going to do with that now? And that's what you help people with in your coaching, or that's what you're going to be expanding to, right?
Yes. I think it's out of my own evolution of my own personal work before this book process even came about was I learned that you have a choice to see your parents as people who did something to you in your life, or you could blame them if you wanted to. Have that choice, or you can just see them as parents, that they're children of parents too, and they're just doing the best thing that they know how to do with the capacity that they have, and it might not be the same capacity as ours, or
That's
even
right.
as their parents. Like they're maybe doing better than their parents did,
Right.
but it's still not maybe great.
That's
Or, maybe it is awesome and great
yeah.
and they're amazing.
Yeah.
But you just have to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And I don't blame my parents or anything, and I didn't write about it to like bring shame or blame or anything
Hmm.
like that to them.
Hmm.
They did. I love them dearly, and they did the best they could with what they had
Yeah.
and worked their butts off to provide a
Yeah.
household for us.
Yeah. And I
But
think
it
you showed
also,
that. I think you showed
yes,
that. Yeah.
yeah. But it can be also true that it's also maybe not the best environment, right? It
Hmm.
still can be dysfunctional, even though
Right.
they're doing the best they can.
Right.
And that's sort of how my childhood was. And it took a lot of, experiences and things that had happened over the time for my mom realized like this is not safe anymore. We need to leave. And
Yeah.
she had the courage and the audacity to leave
Hmm.
and create a new life and choose something different, which ultimately showed me a lot of strength and courage and want for a life or a vision better than the circumstance we had.
Hmm.
And that really inspired me to then, live the life that I have now.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
you wrote a little bit about in your chapter that her leaving really actually changed a lot for you. Um, Even when it came to school. Like
yes.
you talk about when you were in grade 7 and all of a sudden things turned around for you.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have as much stress that you were focused on. And
So,
yeah, go
my
ahead.
my mom decided to leave because it was no longer safe in our household, which it was hard and messy at the time, but it was also the best scenario because we're starting our life over. It's a blank
Hmm.
slate.
Yeah.
And for the first time when my mom did that, I changed schools. And for the first time, I had different environment, different resources, different community of people around me. And I all of a sudden felt fully relaxed or
Mm-hmm.
more so relaxed. And
Mm-hmm.
my brain wasn't on hypervigilance overdrive trying to be in survival all the time at my
Right.
home environment. So
Yes.
now I can all of a sudden focus on my higher learning in my prefrontal
Mm-hmm.
cortex. My
Mm-hmm.
grades got better. Everything in my life started to really turn around just because the environment was different.
Right.
And I think that that was a real pivotal moment in like the direction that everything fell into place after that.
Well, and it makes so much sense because you talk about yeah, always being very aware of everybody else's feelings in the house and that can change in a heartbeat. And so you kind of lived your whole childhood in that
Yeah.
fight or flight
It,
survival. So, and we
yeah.
know that when we're in that state, you're not thinking clearly because you're just trying to survive,
Yeah. You're just
right?
trying to keep yourself safe and
Yeah,
anticipate your parents' moves and what they're going to do
yeah,
next. And
yeah.
am
So
I going
the
to be okay?
yeah,
And it's consistent hypervigilance all the time. It's like an
yeah,
antenna that you're always
yeah,
scoping.
yeah. And do you find that because you were in that for I mean, those are some pretty um, what's the word? Those years, the developmental stages that you go through in those years. ha- You've seen that come into your adulthood with being aware of people's energy around you.
Massive.
So
Yeah.
you're still hyper vigilant, but you recognize it, right?
I'm
You
still
can
hypervigilant.
calm your nervous system more when you're in those environments, would you say?
Yeah, I'm still hypervigilant, but when you have awareness of it, you also know when you're doing it and you can
Right,
check yourself and you're like,
right.
okay, I need to step back, regulate myself.
Yes,
Why am I act like the decision that I'm making or how I'm being, is it actually for me or is it for somebody else? That you
right.
can have that conversation with yourself
Yeah.
and you can start to relax into like your full being
Mm-hmm.
of who you are and
Mm-hmm.
be more okay in your own skin when
Yeah.
you learn how to self-regulate and
Mm-hmm.
relax and know that it's not really about you. You are safe internally as you are.
Yeah. That's huge. And you talked about starting to go to things with your mom because she was in the personal development. She was trying to make a better life for herself as well.
Mhm.
And you mentioned one thing in the book. I'm not going to totally give it away, but the Tony Robbins event,
Yeah.
and I loved it, but I think because it was just like, what? You went to that? Like, how old were you when you went to that?
It was Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was 16 when I went to that.
Wow.
And I know how, like, my mom didn't have childcare at the time. Like, it was just her and me. So
Yeah,
instead of paying for a nanny or something like that, she would just bring me with her to all these things that she was doing to
yeah,
better her own life, which
yeah,
now looking back, that was actually a really interesting, advantageous thing in disguise because my
yeah,
young brain, which is still in developmental stages,
yeah.
got to soak up lessons or philosophies from these massive personal development gurus.
Yes.
Lots of people don't even learn for their lifetime.
Yeah,
I'm learning it at 16 years old, and I'm in a room full of thousands of people.
yeah,
And Tony's on stage doing his thing, and he asks, if you're under the age of 30, stand up. So then a bunch of people stand up. And then if you're under the age of 20, sit, or sorry, if you're under the age of 20, keep standing,
yeah.
over, sit down. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm standing there with maybe a handful of people.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
realizing how significant and unique the situation is.
Yeah,
And I leaned to my mom and I had this moment of like almost overwhelmed because my nervous system wasn't at the capacity yet to receive that. But that was a
yes,
pivotal moment. And like, I can do great things.
yeah,
If I wanted to put my mind to anything, I can do it. You just have to get in rooms with people who also believe in you, or you believe
yes.
in yourself so much that you can get there. And I
Yeah,
looked at my mom and I was like, I want to be like Tony Robbins one day. I want to be on the stage.
love it.
And that's been fueling my dreams for a long time, that moment in time.
Yeah.
And has got me now to like my coaching and wanting
Hmm.
to write this book and
Yeah,
eventually later on like be on the stage and be a speaker. And I can
yeah,
feel it all coming because
yeah.
you're so anchored in your belief in yourself.
Hmm. Well, and I've talked before about sometimes we need to remind our body what it felt like in that
Yes.
moment. Sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. Um, so what a great moment for you to have had when you were 16 that you can bring back up and remind yourself, okay, what did that feel like again? When you start, because we're human, we're all going to be up and down and we're motivated and we believe in ourselves. And then we have moments where that
Yeah.
drops. And I think it's so important to be able to have those cemented in where you can go, okay, what was that? What was that feeling like where I had so much belief in myself, so much belief in my future, and anything was possible? You've got that moment in time where you can go, that's it. And you can
Yeah.
start to feel that in your body. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. And I think too, like a lot of people in the self-help world, they get caught up in like, oh, your beliefs or
Yeah.
the thoughts you think create your reality, which is true to an extent, but that's not the full formula. It's actually when you want to achieve anything, it's actually how you're going to feel. Remember
Hmm.
the feeling inside. Remember, how's your body going to change or how are you going to walk different or what, how do you present yourself? And that version of you, what are you saying and speaking and feeling inside of you, right? The
Yeah,
feeling is really the key that unlocks the manifestation. And that's what
absolutely.
like Wayne Dyer and, many others have taught me over time. And
Yeah.
that's what I
Mm.
focus on time and time again and
Yeah.
has got me to achieve all the things that I've done. So,
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. The feeling, well, a lot of people were exposed to that when The Secret came out.
yes,
This feeling is a secret. But I had three, I think. It was gratitude is a superpower,
massive.
which I believe in.
Yeah.
But imagination was the other one. So I had the three: feeling, imagination, and what did I just say? Feeling, imagination, and gratitude. Those are the three things that I pretty much live live by. Sorry, I'm gonna just drink a little bit of water again. But I think that's so important because you did touch on imagination in your book too. That kind of helped you escape a little bit. And when you talk about your environment that you grew up in, it blows me away that you were so young to still have that much awareness that this wasn't normal, because you saw that in other families where you went with friends and you knew something just wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
Like that awareness to me blows me away that you had that at such a young age. And part of that goes to you imagining when you were playing with the dolls. I just love that part of the chapter because it just shows us how important imagination is.
Yeah.
And it was, you could imagine a different way. And then you go and then you're exposed to this personal development stuff at such a young age. Like I can't imagine what that would have been like to know some of this stuff at 16. And then you created the life that you imagined for yourself, going to UBCO from Ontario, moving to Kelowna. I mean, you were building that belief in yourself every step you took, maybe without even realizing it.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
interesting you bring that up because one of my friends that read, like when I wrote the story and it was great, and I was like, oh, I need to send to my friends for some feedback. One of my friends, her feedback to me was like, I learned things about you. Like, I know you, I'm a friend, I hang out with you all the time, but I
yeah.
learned things about you that I had no idea,
Mm-hmm.
which made me realize that because I learned the manifesting stuff and I was at Tony Robbins so young and that was my life so early on,
Mm-hmm.
that's my normal. Like I function like that on a day to day. So to me, it's not weird or
Right.
abnormal. That's just my life. That's how I am.
Yeah.
But she was making the point that that's not normal
No,
to many
exactly.
people. And
Yeah.
so learning in my brain, like reading the story and learning things that I do on a day to day, like envisioning your goals or envisioning how you want to feel or doing the manifesting stuff or
Yeah.
the way you think about things, the thoughts you think, the positivity stuff, like imagining a different life or the future self or having
Yes.
your future selves back, like the decisions you make now will impact your future self. Like
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
the hard thing now, have it easy later, right?
Yes.
Doing all those, like I do that that's regular to me, but
That's just
she's someone that struggles that's not her normal. So she's
right.
like learning about that about you. Like I had no idea that that's what you're doing all the time. And that's why
Yeah.
you achieve all these things. Like
Yeah.
blown away. And it just was humbling for me because I was like, oh yeah, that's when you're in the world, you don't
Yeah.
realize like the outside is not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, doesn't everybody know this? Doesn't everybody
Yeah,
do this? Like,
exactly. Exactly.
that's just what I do. That's just who you are. I mean, that was really part of what became your identity, that was just a normal thing for you to do every day.
Yes, 100%.
And that was not a normal thing for most people your age to do. I mean, I started getting into this work, oh my gosh, way later than that. I had dabbled in it quite a bit, but then it was more into my mid-30s that it was like, this stuff really works. Like, how come everybody's not doing this? Like, this is amazing. Everybody should be. But to have that so young, I love that you embraced it because, well, you didn't know any different. So it just became part of who you were. And but I know that further on in your chapter, you do talk about an incident that happened. And for you to be able to come through that on the other side, um, I would I would guess to think that a lot of the tools that you had learned early on helped you to see that situation for what it
Yes.
was and not allowing that to define you.
Yes.
Because anytime we are um, violated in whichever way you were violated in a sexual way, um, it's the tools that we need inside of us to get through it. And I don't think I had those tools early on. I had to get them later. If I'd had them sooner, maybe it would have been different, but to me, it just goes to the strength that you have, the courage that you have, um, the fact that you're willing to share that story to help others. It's a really vulnerable place to come from. And I know we talked a little bit about shame. Did you, was that something that you hid from your friends early on? Like, did you have friends come to your house, or did you want to go to their house more? I'm just thinking about, does that shame start that young, or were you able to actually manage it that early too, because you were exposed to it so young? What do you think that survival technique was for you?
Um, are you
I
talking about
asked a
shame?
lot of questions there.
Yeah.
I threw a
Sorry.
lot out there.
Okay. I just wanted to say, like, there's with my sexual abuse that happened,
Mhm.
there is shame that comes with that too.
Yes, absolutely.
But I knew that was one of the defining moments when that happened to me. I knew that I never, because of all the work I did before with all my personal development work, I knew that diving into your trauma and diving into the things that were holding you back or your limiting beliefs
Yeah.
were that's really pivotal in order to catapult you forward in life and not
Yes.
hold you back. So when
Yes.
the sexual abuse happened to me when I was 19, I knew the moment that I woke up from that,
Yeah.
I never wanted this to define my, like,
Yeah.
railroad my track to greatness
Yeah.
or define who I was. And I knew
Yeah.
that it had the capacity to do that. And
Yeah.
I was a hard no to that.
Yeah.
So I did everything in my power using the tools that I had in order to not let it do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most liberating things that happened to me
Mm-hmm.
was that once I got on the other side of like getting checked out and doing all the therapy and all the
Yeah.
work around the shame that comes with that and the anger and all the feelings,
Yeah.
it was so liberating to
Mm-hmm.
know that I don't let that affect me. I
Yeah.
can if I
Yeah.
choose to, but I'm
Yeah.
not letting myself
Yeah.
do that. And that's
Yeah.
where your power lives.
Absolutely.
And that's also a reflection of like the strength that I got from as a child. Like
Mm-hmm.
I lived in a very dysfunctional alcohol fighting type environment when I was young. And like I touched on in the chapter, like Gabor Mate says, if there's a chaotic environment like that, when the child will also always choose
Oh.
like if it's authenticity or belonging, the child will
Mm-hmm.
always choose belonging over
Right.
authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's a survival mechanism in order
Yeah.
for you to stay safe. And I might have had shame that I thought it was about me, but the environment was actually not about me at all. It's just
Right.
about the environment.
Yeah.
I'm still a lovely child that's just an innocent child, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
But you choose hypervigilance as a survival strategy
Yeah.
in order to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
But as you grow older, you realize that it has nothing to do with you. It
Mm-hmm.
has everything to do with other circumstances, and
Right.
that should never define who you are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
actually, your safety mechanism of hypervigilance actually was the most beautiful thing to keep you safe, which makes you
Mm-hmm.
who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
part of why now I'm, you know, very observant or,
Yeah.
can pick up on like energies in the room or,
Yeah.
it makes me a better life coach because I have this third sense of sort of something's not right here or this person
Yeah.
needs something or it's
Yeah.
in between the lines body language. I can
Mm-hmm.
pick up on things, which makes me almost more intuitive about the situation,
Yeah.
which pays off now in the end.
Yes.
So
Right. It's
it's not
almost
like,
turned into a gift or a
yeah,
strength that you have
100%.
that you use positively rather
Yeah,
than not in survival mode. You're using it as for the good. But it
yeah.
feels like for somebody to have that insight that young at 19, um, you grew up really fast. You were forced to grow up really fast. And that,
I'm definitely an old soul. We joke about that
yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
family. But
Yeah.
I also have had many situations that have also made me grow up really fast.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
almost like you have divine wisdom that many people
Hmm.
like, don't have, you know?
I believe that.
Yeah.
I feel that from you for sure. I think what I really love about having met you and just feeling that from you, how genuine you are, how sincere you are for your willingness to share. Um, and you've got so many gifts. You're so powerful. I can't wait for you to really embody that, which we're going to get to. And uh, to me, your next chapter is just waiting for you to write it, and you may have already written it. Um, if you've done this work for this long, you're envisioning a life that you want, and you're just not afraid to take the next step. You did this by signing up to write the chapter. That takes courage, and it takes courage, especially when there's other people involved in your story, to to make it from your perspective, because that's what it is. This is your truth you're writing about, and you never. Um, I think you actually honored both of your parents in the chapter. Um, it wasn't. It just it felt like this is my story. This is my perspective. I love who I am, despite of what you grew up in, and you love both your parents.
Mhm.
And I think there's something really beautiful about that. There's something that comes through you that that is just so loving. I think that's what I would say about you. There's something so genuine and authentic. And you talked about authenticity and belonging, and you chose belonging because that was your survival. But I think along the way, you did have the authenticity too, because that's what's coming out in you now. And I just, I'm just so honored to have met you and so happy that you're in my world. So I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you.
I
I
appreciate you
appreciate
too.
very much. So I want people to know that this chapter, they'll resonate with a piece of it no matter what. I truly believe that when they read it, there's going to be something that stands out to them that they can relate to. I always said when I talked about my child and what the incident that happened in my childhood, I was always like, I hope nobody relates to this, but so many
Totally.
people do, right?
Yeah.
And
Same. I
unfortunately,
feel the same,
yeah,
but it's just the reality of the world we live in.
it
And
is. And it takes people like you sharing though to make people feel like they belong and
thank
that
you.
they're enough. And I love that it was about your past doesn't define you, and you can create whatever it is that you want. That's to me what sums up your chapter.
Yeah.
And I love that you did show us some of the things that did happen to you in your past, because look where it's led you now, and that's the place you can come from, which
Yeah.
is like amazing.
I think people too, like people often will see somebody and they just judge them for where they are, like in
Yeah.
this current moment, and they have no
Right.
idea of their story or their capacity of what they've been through.
Yeah.
And when you start to open your heart and share, you
Yeah.
actually realize how divine that person is or
Yeah.
how wise they are.
Yeah.
And everyone has something to share and influence somebody else, or that can help someone else. And
Yes.
it's kind of opens your eyes to people are more interesting than you actually think you realize they are,
Yeah. Yeah.
and can really help other people, like
Yeah.
people who you don't even think anything about them or whatever actually are the biggest people that change your life, by
Yeah.
just one small thing. So
Yeah.
I hope that any women or men reading this,
Yeah.
specifically women though, like always believe in yourself to the core of your being. Like you are fully controlling of your life, and you can do anything that you put your mind to. Like if you fully believe to yourself in the like to the core of your being that I can do this or I'm worth it and this is enough and it's going to impact somebody in life,
Yeah.
even one person, it's worth doing. And
And
you'll literally blow your mind of what's possible when you challenge yourself to do that.
yes, I love that. We are wrapping it there. That is the perfect way to end this. That's it. Belief, really, belief in yourself, no matter what your circumstances. I love that. And thank you, Emma, so, so much. I can't wait to see everybody at the summit in May. And we will, you'll get more of Emma. So get the book when it comes out February 1st, Beautiful Chaos, Embracing the Unexpected. And we will probably have another conversation because this is too good. And I could talk to Emma all day. So, all right, we will sign off there. Thank you so much, Emma, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
You are so welcome. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We will talk to you soon. Bye.